Good evening. Today, science lesson, we shall deal with the renewable energy resources. We had dealt with this topic before, and it is a continuation on renewable energy resources. What do we say about renewable energy resources? Renewable energy resources can be used over and over. We have resources that when we use, they can get depleted from the way they are formed. If the formation of a particular energy you intend to use cannot match the demand, then it is highly likely that that resource that is producing that kind of energy will get depleted. There are some factors that can affect one when you are choosing what form of energy you are going to use. It will depend on maybe on the cost of getting that renewable resource, and also the way you extract it, and is it cheap? And also the way that energy resource will affect the environment. So what we can say about this renewable energy resource is that if you want to build a good energy resource, or if you want to have a good energy supply for future, then you have to limit the emission of greenhouse. Greenhouse gas emission is dangerous for the environment. So we need, as much as we are using these renewable energy resources, for instance, if we give an example of the renewable energy resource that we know, although it gets depleted like the fossil fuel, yes, it can be used, but there is emission of greenhouse gas, which is dangerous. The key sources of renewable resource, just for remembering, one, we can get renewable energy resource from moving water. We can also get a renewable energy resource from the sun. The sun, it gives another form of energy. We can also get renewable energy resource from wind, from the way we can construct the wind turbines and so forth. When there is moving wind, when there is wind and it's blowing these turbines and so forth, they will produce energy that can be used. We can also get renewable energy from the heat within the earth. When the molten magma is hot within the earth surface, within the earth crust, then this molten magma can be so hot to the extent whereby any water that will come in contact with it, that water will be heat and become extremely hot. And when this water is hot, we can collect steam from this water and get our energy. Also, oceans and rivers. Depending on how oceans behave, high tide and low tide, we can still harness this water so that when it's low tide, it is opened and the turbines are made to turn. We are also saying there is biomass. Biomass is a renewable energy resource. Depending on how you will deal with the biomass, the way you will deal with the plants and animals and so forth, you can also get energy from them. The major problem, we had said that with the renewable energy resource, is that the energy output is not continuous. The energy output is not continuous. For instance, if we are talking about wind, we shall continue getting our energy as long as there is wind. But this wind cannot be continuous. There are times we have wind, and there are times this wind will stop. So we need to have a plan so that when we have wind, we can be able to harness this energy and store it somewhere, so that when the wind is not blowing, we can still use our wind we can use still our energy when the wind is not blowing. So we are saying the major problem with the renewable energy is it is not continuous. When we talk of wind turbines, even if we talk of solar system, the sun is only there during daytime. The sun is not there during night hours. So maybe a solution is we need to have storage facilities so that when we have harvested enough sunlight, energy from the sun during daytime, then these solar panels that we have, we can now use the same energy at night hours, which can be okay. So we are saying better methods need to be developed to store renewable energy when demand is low, so that we can use later when the demand is high. Today we shall continue on hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity is a renewable source of energy. When we talk of hydroelectricity, this happens because of gravity. The law of gravity states that anything that has weight will not go up, but will have to come down. Gravity causes things to fall, including water. So when water comes into contact with gravity, it will have to fall. Water that is falling from higher to lower level will cause turbines to move, and when these turbines will move, will generate electricity. This form of electricity is called hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity is the electricity that is generated when water that is flowing from higher ground to lower ground moves these turbines. When these turbines move, they generate electricity. We are saying we have mountains. Where we have snowy mountains, we know that the snowy mountains, snow or even the ice, they can melt. When they melt, they will create rivers and so forth. We are saying, for instance, there is a scheme in north-southwest which has a lot of, which has turbines. They have produced a lot of hydroelectricity depending on how New South Wales has planned itself. It just came in Australia, and it consists of 16 dams. They have constructed 16 dams so that they can store enough water. When they open this water from these 16 dams, they are able to move the turbines. When the turbines move, then hydroelectricity is produced. We are told, apart from the 16 dams that are existing in New South Wales, we are told they have 17 power stations and over 145 kilometers of tunnels. All these tunnels are constructed to ensure, in connection with these 16 dams, so that they can be able to store enough water and to move the turbines, as these turbines, they are rolled down by the moving water. If water is stored and there's enough water, then it will move these turbines faster and will continue generating electricity. We are saying hydroelectric schemes are renewable energy resource. However, large-scale projects change the way rivers flow and alter the environment. We are saying it is true. If you are relying on electricity, or you are relying on these turbines, on these big dams, we are saying any other major projects that can come in and that will alter the environment also can affect the flow of rain. And if the flow of rain is affected, even the flow of water can be affected, so that the water level within maybe these 16 dams or within any dams you have constructed, once the water level is affected, even the hydroelectric power you are going to harness there will be affected. So it will depend on whatever project you are laying. If the project will affect the environment, then that environment will also affect the dams. Then it will be it will become a direct, it will be direct effect to the amount of electricity that we are going to generate from these dams. So we have seen that hydroelectricity is okay, depending, it is a, this one is harnessed through construction of dams. You store water, then you construct the turbines. When you open these openings, then the turbines are moved. When these turbines are moved forward, you generate electricity. The electricity that is generated by the turbines moving and so forth, then we call this kind of electricity hydroelectricity. Now, we want to advance ahead to biomass. And when we write biomass, now biomass, I've written biomass, it is another form of a renewable resource. And we ask ourselves, what is biomass? Biomass, these are materials such as dead plants, other types of matter, or animals that are dead, and animal wastes. So what we are saying that these dead plants and animals that are dead, plus their wastes, they have some form of energy. These materials, they contain storage energy that had been captured from the sun. This energy can be released for their use in many different ways. So what we are saying, biomass consists of dead animals, dead plants, animals waste, and other forms of plants that are dead. We are saying these dead plants and animals, they contain some energy. This energy, they were able to extract, they were able to get this energy from the sun. They captured this energy from the sun. And there are various methods we can be able to extract or to release this energy from these dead plants, from these dead animals. We are saying one of the way include one, heat energy. We are saying to get heat energy from these dead plants and animals, we can be able to take wood, these are timbers and so forth, or cow pads, or manure, dried manure. If you burn wood, if you burn dead animals, or you burn the manure, they will be able to produce energy. They can, if you burn them, they will produce heat. So one way of getting energy from these dead plants is by burning dead plants, by burning dead animals, also by burning maybe dried manure. We shall be able to get the energy that they had captured from the sunlight. That's one way. Then there is a second way where we say the organic wastes. For instance, we can take, when we talk of organic wastes, such as the fruit peelings, the grass clippings, are put into a landfill. So if you take the fruit peelings, you take the grass clippings, and you put them in a landfill, they will decompose. When they decompose, they will produce what we call methane. We have methane. They will be able to produce methane and gas, and they will also produce carbon dioxide gases. These gases mixture are called biogas, and can be collected from the landfill sites, and the methane gas can be used as fuel. So we are saying when we take animals waste plus fruit peelings and grass, we take also grass clippings, we put them in a landfill. When you put them in a landfill, they will be able to decompose, and when they are decomposing, they will be able to come up with the carbon dioxide methane. We are saying this methane can be used as fuel. So we are seeing that another way of getting this energy is by putting this these fruit peelings and grass clippings in a landfill. When you put them in the landfill, they will decompose. Once they decompose, they will produce methane gas, and they also produce carbon dioxide gas. Carbon dioxide. We are saying a mixture of this methane can be used as fuel, and it's a form of energy. Biogas can also be produced from human sewage and also from animals' waste. So when you put them also, you can be able to get the biogas. When you bring the animal waste together, then they will decompose, and you will be able to get methane and carbon dioxide. We are saying also this was the second way of extracting energy from these dead animals, dead plants, and animals' waste. But also we have a third way of getting also energy from this matter. And that way, we call it biofuel. How do we get biofuel? We are saying biofuel is a liquid made from living things. Biofuel is a liquid made from living things like plants or algae. For example, ethanol can be fermented from agricultural products such as sugarcane, corn, or from agricultural waste such as rice husks. So what we are saying here is biodiesel fuel can be made from vegetable oils extracted from plants such as palm oil, sunflower, canola, soybean, sesame seeds, linseed seeds, or when we harvest algae. We are saying for us to get biofuel, we can get biofuel from living things, and we have a given example of plants. And some of the example of these plants, we can get our biofuel like ethanol. We have given example that when they are fermented, these agricultural products, they can produce biofuel that we require. And we have said we can get biofuel from sugarcane, corn, or from agricultural wastes such as rice husks. That is now biofuel. We are saying also from this biofuel, we can also get biodiesel. So when we want to get biodiesel is made from vegetable oils. We have given example of these vegetable oils that can be extracted from plant seeds, such as palm oil. So palm oil, from palm oil, you can be able to get your biodiesel. Biodiesel, which can be used for many purposes, is a form of energy. Also, we can get from palm oil, we can extract biodiesel from palm oil. Also, we can get it from sunflower. From sunflower, we can get be able to get biodiesel. Also, we have other seeds we can get biodiesel. Like, for instance, we can harvest algae. Harvesting of algae. From all this, we can be able to get our biodiesel. Now, we have seen that under biomass, there are several ways from biomass we can be able to get our energy. One way was heat energy. If you take dead plants, if it is the wood, you burn them. By burning them, you can be able to get the heat that you want. We have also said from organic waste. When these organic waste, you decompose them, you put them in a landfill. When you put them under the landfill, they will be able to decompose, and when they decompose, they will come up with the methane gas will be produced and carbon dioxide. We have also said biofuel You can be able to get biofuel. How do you get biofuel? You will get it from living things such as plants, algae, and so forth. And from them, we can also get biodiesel. From biodiesel of said palm oil, sunflower, and so forth. We can also get extract our biodiesel from palm oil and sunflower and so forth. Now, this is biomass, getting energy from the dead plants, getting energy from the dead plants, from the dead animals and animal waste. We can get our biomass. That is a form of energy that is renewable. Then we can advance ahead. We go to solar energy. Now, solar energy is a renewable resource. Now, on solar energy, we say solar, for us to explain something on solar, it has to do with something with the sun. What the sun does, it produces light. Light from the sun is valuable, renewable resource. It can be used in many ways to provide energy, depending on how you have prepared yourself to trap that light so that you can convert it into energy that you can use it depending on the appropriate time. One, depending on the solar panels that you place in the house. When you are constructing a house, depending on the way you will construct your house and the panels, the way you're placing them, you can be able to get more light, you can be able to extract more light, you can be able to harness more light from the sun depending on the positions of the solar cells you are going to place on your house. How are they positioned in relation to the sun? So your position of the housing is very important because the roofs of this house are going to be be occupied with. We are going to place the solar cells on the roofs. How do you position the roofs of your house? Will be able to be in a better position to extract more light energy, or maybe place them differently, then you will not get more light energy. So we're saying one, the direction the house faces can help to reduce the need for additional heating and cooling. Also, we are saying sunlight can be used to heat water flowing through the rooftops, through the collectors, to provide household with hot water. So what we are saying, the solar panels that can be placed within the house, depending on how they're trapping the light from the sun, they can be able to heat water that is going along. They will produce more energy, electric heat, and this electric heat will be able to heat water so that when the water is passing them through these cells, it will be heated. The energy that has been converted into electricity, it will be able to heat this water that is passing through the solar panel that has trapped the light from the sun. Then we are saying sunlight. Another way, we are saying sunlight can be used to heat water flowing through the rooftops, solar collectors, and provide a household with the hot water. We are saying solar cells. For us to trap solar energy, you have to use solar cells. Solar cells use materials called semiconductors to control sunlight directly, to convert sunlight directly into electricity. So solar cells are there to convert sunlight directly into electricity. Those are solar cells. That's true. Then we are saying, for solar energy also, how does it work? We are saying another way you can be able to use solar power. One, you can construct a solar pond. You can construct a solar pond. What is the solar pond? It has to follow some specific specifications. It has to follow some measurements so that it can be able to trap the light from the sun. We are saying solar pond consists of large volumes of water to which salt is added. The pond is lined with a black paper. Black plastic paper is laid underneath the solar pond. So below the solar pond you place a black plastic paper. This plastic paper is black so that when light from the sun passes through water, this water is mixed with salt, so that when the sunlight hits the water at the base, the water and the heat, the water is able to heat, because when the light passes through, when it meets this with it meets with this black pepper, the water will heat. It can be used to generate electricity when now what is heated, the steam is up now, it can be used to generate electricity. So we are saying solar pond consists of a large volume of water to which salt is added. The pond is lined with a black plastic. Sunlight hits the water at the base of the water, and the water is heated. It can be used to generate electricity from the fumes when the water is hot. It can be able from the hot water that is derived after the sun passing through hitting the black plastic paper. That water, because it's heat, then it can be used to generate now electricity. We are saying another way of large scale. There's a large scale solar system that are used to relay upon vast arrays. There are many mirrors that are used so that they collect enough sunlight and they position it at one point so that there is enough heat at the place they are aiming. And maybe if you take, for instance, a concave lens. What a concave lens, it takes light and then it puts it into one point. And when you follow that one point where the light has been is converging, you can find even fire can start. That's how tough the light rays from the sun can be. So when you have many mirrors that is harvesting a lot of sunlight and putting this sunlight towards one direction. From that one direction, we can be able to concentrate and we can be able to harvest the sunlight with no effect on greenhouse. So solar energy, one advantage with the solar energy, you can be able to harvest energy from the sun, and there are no repercussions to do with the greenhouse gas. There's nothing like production of greenhouse gas. The solar cells are quite okay. They are able to extract the light from the sun, and they change that light from the sun into electric energy. And that is to do with solar energy. So we have said solar energy, there are various ways we can use solar energy. We can trap the solar energy and use it for our consumption. We can go to another way of energy, another way that is a renewable source of energy, and that is wind energy. Now, wind energy, we are saying for you to get wind energy, you have to construct turbines, those big windmills that will be moved by wind that is moving along. So wind energy has been used for centuries. This is not a recent phenomenon, but it has been there for centuries. But the first inventor, when they thought of using wind energy, they never thought of wind producing electricity, no. They used wind to get windmills, to grind grains and so forth. So it has been there since time immemorial for centuries. And windmills have long been used in Australia and other countries to pump water. Also people have used wind to pump water from rivers to other areas and so forth. That energy is okay. But they not thought of using the same windmills to produce electricity, to produce energy, and to produce electric energy. But at the moment, that one has been done. You can use these windmills, you convert them, and they produce electricity. So we are saying they can be used for pumping water. Wind turbines are like large windmills. They're like large windmills, but they are used to generate electricity. So once, long time ago, we used to have these windmills, and they were maybe being used just for maybe to move water, to pump water from riverbeds to other places for irrigation and so forth. And people used also windmills to get to grind meals and so forth. But at the moment, modern times, they are able now to use these windmills. Turbines have been constructed and they can be able to use windmills to produce electricity with which they can use. Now, one thing with wind energy, you have to rely that there should be enough wind. You will be able to harness wind energy as long as wind is blowing. But when wind stops, when there's no wind, then it is not continuous. You need to have some gadgets that you are able to use to store this wind energy so that when it's not blowing, you can still have your energy that is stored. You use that energy when there's no wind. But during the when the wind is there, you are able to harness to get that energy. You store it somewhere. When there's no wind, then you can continue using your energy. We can go to another form of renewable energy, and this is energy from the oceans. Now, oceans as they are, depending on the technology you are going to use, you can be able to get energy from these oceans. You can be able to get electricity from these oceans, depending on the technology you will apply. So we are saying there are a number of different techniques used to harness energy from the oceans. There are a number of techniques that are used to harness energy from the oceans. Depending on the technology you have, then you will be able to use it to harness to harness energy from the oceans. What we know about the oceans, depending on the waves. Waves do move, there are high tides and so forth. So there are technologies which are there at the moment. They can be able to harness energy from the waves that are there. When the sea tide is high, they are able to collect energy and to convert that energy into electric. So these techniques, there are generally two. They are very expensive. These techniques are very expensive when you want to use them to extract energy from the oceans. They are expensive. But once you start generating energy from these oceans, they are quite reliable. They are expensive, but once established, they offer a clean energy source once they are operating. So they are clean. There's no emissions of greenhouse gas and so forth. So there are two methods that are mainly there are two methods that are used to harness energy from the oceans. One of these methods is called oscillating wave column. Now, oscillating wave column, what happened on this oscillating wave column is that at the banks of these oceans, towards where at the sides of these oceans, where the oceans meeting with the mainland, turbines are constructed. And these turbines are constructed in such a way that tunnels are there. Within these tunnels, there are turbines within them. So that when water comes from the sea, when it is high tide, this water will be able to pass through these turbines. And when they move through the turbines, through these channels, through these tunnels, the turbines are be able to move when the water is passing through. And when water is receding again, these turbines are still able to move again. When they keep on moving these turbines, they are able to generate electricity. That is called oscillating wave column. So that this turbine will keep on moving. Where the water is coming up through these channels, the tunnels, these turbines will move. When the water is now receding back to the ocean, then these same turbines will move. So whichever direction the water will be moving, still these turbines will be able to move. For instance, what I'm trying to explain, we can have a slate diagram of this maybe. We call it, this is a channel. If this is the ocean, when the water comes in, this turbine will be able to move. When it moves, when this turbine is moving, it's creating electricity. Then when this water is receding back, same tunnel will also continue rotating and it will generate electricity. So this one is called oscillating wave column. Then we have a second one we call tidal barrage. Now, with the tidal barrage, we shall, a second form of harvesting, we call it tidal barrage. Now, with the tidal barrage, when water comes in, it goes up, it falls when there is high tide. So what will happen is these turbines will be below the water. Water will be up. But when the water now recedes, then the turbines, the tunnels are opened. The water will be able to flow, and when the water now is flowing back, because there's low tide, water is going back, is going down, then these turbines will move. And when it moves, it will generate electricity. With the tidal barrage, this one can be constructed even in the middle of the ocean, whichever place. You can be able to construct it there. When water is up, it goes above these turbines. When it's coming low, they're opened. When they're opened, the tunnels, when the water is moving out, then that's tidal barrage. When the water is moving out, then the turbines will be able to move. When they move, they generate electricity. They generate electricity. We can advance to another form of a renewable source of renewable energy. And this one is called geothermal energy. Geothermal energy, it is an energy that we get from beneath the Earth's crust. Geothermal energy is the energy that we get from beneath the Earth's crust. When we take the Earth as it is, in between, inside the Earth, we have the Earth crust. Whatever happens within the core of the Earth, we have some molten magma. Molten magma or lava. Whatever happens to this molten magma, you find it is a rock that is pressed under intense pressure. And the heat is so high, it becomes molten now. This molten magma or lava, when it gets into contact with the water, this water is heated. It will now create what we call hot springs and geysers. We have hot springs. When molten magma within the Earth's crust gets into contact with water, it results to what we call hot springs. Hot springs and geysers. So you just find that there's a hot spring somewhere. Water is coming up, and when you go to this water, you find this water is hot. So what geothermal energy is all about is this water that has been hit by the molten magma and so forth. It can be able to be used, they can be able to be used to harness electricity. So what happens beneath, when this water is close to the surface, it may burst out on the surface as a natural hot springs or a geyser. This heated water can be used directly to generate electricity. Another way we can get we can generate this geothermal energy is to pump water. Another way of generating geothermal energy is to pump water. Water can be pumped into rocks within the earth crust, beneath the earth. And when water is pumped down there, water is pumped there when it's cool, but when it reaches to these rocks that are hot, the water is heated. Now, when it comes out, it is hot and steam. Then they can be able to harness this water that is steam, that has steam. They can be able to harness it and get the electricity. So we are saying water is pumped underneath through drilled channels and circulated through the rock. When it circulates through the rock, the water is heated, and when it rises up, it is used to generate electricity when it turns back to the surface. So what we are saying about geothermal power is the energy that you can get through heated water. Either if the water is heated naturally and comes up as a natural hot spring. From this natural hot spring, we can be able to harness our electricity from this natural hot spring, or this water that is coming up and is hot. That's one way. It's just natural that water is being heated, and when it gets a leeway, it comes up. That's one. Then we're saying another way, it is you pump water, you dig channels to these rocks that are very hot within the earth crust. When you pump water through the channels, this water will be heated. When it comes up, it is hot. Then from this water, hot water again, you can harness your electricity from the water that has been that has been heated by these hot rocks that are within the earth crust. Fossil fuel, you can depend on fossil fuel, but fossil fuel can be depleted. So we need to be in a position whereby we don't depend on fuel that can be depleted, but we depend on fuel that is renewable. We have said the way we get fossil fuel, it is there, but we have to wait for many millions of years for us to have that fossil fuel. That's why we say it is non-renewable, because we cannot have it within our lifespan. If it's taking many millions of years and human beings cannot exist such a period of life, we will be dead by that time. So we are saying, can we have a renewable resource, a resource that we can renew within our lifetime? So depending on fossil fuel, we know that coal is used. Coal, petroleum, form of energy are used in many countries, but we are saying they have some serious dangers. What are these serious dangers that are known to go with this fossil fuel? One of the dangers, we are saying they are hazardous. We are saying there are serious impact on environment, and this serious impact on environment on fossil fuel include the following. One, the emission of large quantities of greenhouse gases. So if you continue depending on fossil fuel, you continue depending on coal, it has a serious impact on environment, because there is production of greenhouse, which are dangerous to the atmosphere. Because the atmosphere, if the atmosphere gets into problems, then we can get the sun rays, they are rectoners, and we can get a lot of diseases from these sun rays. Two, we are saying, depending on fossil fuel, we have another dangerous impact on the environment. What is this? It is the pollution. Pollution on the surface and on the surface of the earth. Depending if you take oil, if this gets spilled, take for instance, if we are extracting fossil fuel from the middle of the ocean, there have been situations whereby this fuel, this oil have leaked, and they have destroyed the whole environment, the marine, the water, oceans, many marine life we have lost, because this oil, when it gets spilled in the oceans and so forth, it becomes dangerous to the environment. Then we are talking of changes to the environment. From the way you are conducting your activities, whether if you are mining coal, if you are mining oil, whatever tunnels you are digging around, you are interfering with the environment. And when you interfere with the environment and you cannot return the environment from its earlier state, then that one becomes dangerous. We are saying there are different, when you interfere with the environment, then it becomes very difficult for some types of plants and some animals to exist within such an environment, because you are extracting fossil fuel, you are extracting coal and so forth. So the environment becomes difficult. Well, there are some technologies that have been placed in, that have come up so that they try to control these greenhouse gases, they try to control the carbon storage and so forth. So carbon capture and storage. Carbon capture and storage. This is a process whereby carbon dioxide gas is isolated and captured, either before or after coal is burned. And what we are saying, what happens to this carbon dioxide gas that is isolated and captured before or after coal is burned? Once this carbon dioxide is captured, the carbon dioxide is liquefied. We say it is liquefied, it is changed into liquid form. The gas, carbon dioxide gas, it is changed into liquid form. Once it is changed into liquid form, then it is pumped. It's pumped into geological formation, where it is stored underground the earth. So if you change carbon dioxide gas into liquid form, then you pump it and store it very far beneath the earth. You are trying to ensure that this carbon dioxide is not released into the atmosphere to larger percentage that is not required. we shall say it is okay. But when you keep on pumping carbon dioxide, changing it to into liquid form and storing it beneath the earth, it will cause some imbalances within the earth. And if it causes some imbalances within the earth, the core, the earth crust, then we are likely to have some earthquakes. And if earthquakes do come because of the activities of storing the carbon dioxide gas within the earth crust, then it can cause a lot of damage, because earthquakes can come, if it's too high, it can come with a lot of dangers, bringing down some buildings. Now we are saying that is the whole danger that is now associated with the carbon capture and storage. You will capture and store it, but it can cause imbalances within the earth, and earthquakes, it can result into earthquakes, and the earthquakes are destructive. We want to bring up another point. This point is energy for all. Energy for all. It is an idea that it is a current idea that came up in East Africa, energy for all. For all, and this initiative was called Umeme kwa Wote. Umeme kwa Wote. The word umeme kwa wote you might not understand, but if we translate it, it means energy for all. This was an initiative that was started in East Africa, and specifically in a country called Kenya and Tanzania. Kenya and Uganda, these countries, they were able to come up with this energy for all. And what used to happen is around the Lake Victoria in this East Africa, fishermen used to rely on kerosene. Within their homes, they had to use kerosene to light up their homes. When they are going to fish, they have to carry the same kerosene, and they use it for fishing at night. But this was not okay. This kerosene is available, but is a bit expensive. It's available in small amounts, but it's a bit expensive. The danger of using kerosene is spillage. It can get spilled in the ocean, and that one can interfere with the water within the lake and so forth. It can it can spoil the ecosystem and do away with kill some of the marine lives that we have within the lake. So we are saying for many years the fishermen in generation depended on this kerosene at the shores of Lake Victoria. It is indeed true in East Africa, and they used to fish at night and so forth, kerosene. But now they came up with a discovery. They discovered that you can now use solar. They came up with a power. It is called, in 2008, they came up with a lighting company that was first came up with an energy hub. This energy hub was constructed on the banks of Lake Victoria. Its name is Umeme kwa Wote. They came up with that name. It is a Swahili word for energy for all. It is an energy installation that consisting of 42 solar panels. It is installed on its roof. They use the panels to convert the renewable source, sunlight, into a clean supply of energy. Three hubs were constructed in Kenya. One was constructed in Uganda. That was, and they're hoping that maybe in the end in Africa they can construct close to 100 hubs in Africa, so that the countries in Africa can benefit, and in Asia they can construct close to 20 hubs to assist Asia. The cost of such a lower compared to kerosene, and we are saying this form of energy, when you compare to kerosene, the light they were able to get from this energy hub they constructed, the light was brighter. One is it, the light was brighter. It is rechargeable. You can recharge and use it. It is not expensive as compared to kerosene. It cannot bring up pollution, unlike kerosene, when it gets bored, when it gets maybe mixed up, it's poured into the lake, and then it is not expensive. But this was a good initiative because we are running away from kerosene, which is non-renewable power. Then we are going to this energy hub that is renewable and that can assist many people. Depending, it gives more light that is efficient, and it is not polluted. It does not tamper with the environment, atmosphere. No release of green gas and so forth. Revision questions. Some of the questions that we can have to ask ourselves: what we have covered, how much have we understood? One of the questions is, for instance, State 2 key advantages of fossil fuel. State 2 advantages, disadvantages of fossil fuel. 2 disadvantages of fossil fuel. When you are responding to such a question, 1, fossil fuel can be depleted. That's true. Fossil fuel brings up greenhouse gas. That's true. Then fossil fuel, it can cause pollution depending on the spillage and so forth. So those are disadvantages that are associated with fossil fuel. Then another question, list the resources of energy that supply majority of people in the world. A majority of people in the world, they depend on the fossil fuel, is true, coal, and they also depend on hydroelectric power. It is there, and many people depend upon it. Then another question that can make us remember the topics quite well. List 5 topics. List 5 types of plants, seeds, that can be used to produce biodiesel fuel. List 5 types of plants that can be used to produce biodiesel fuel. Some of the plants we can use is, we have sesame seeds, we have sunflower, we have palm oil, we have canola seed, we have linseed, and we have algae. If you have algae, from harvesting algae, you can be able to get biodiesel. What about, define the term biomass? The term biomass, these are dead plants, and biomass, dead plants and animals. When we obtain energy from dead plants and animals, that energy we're obtaining is biomass. 1, we can obtain from living things, like living plants, we change into liquid form and so forth. Then outline advantages of umeme kwa wote. The last bit we have finished. Advantages of umeme kwa wote as compared to the first kerosene. Advantages are obvious. 1 is umeme kwa wote, it is rechargeable. So if you have a light, you can recharge your light and you continue having your battery. Then 2, minimal risks. It has minimal risks, no greenhouse emissions, and the light that we get is brighter compared to kerosene, and then it's not dangerous. It cannot harm the bio life, the life that is existing within the ocean. That is the end of the lesson today. We shall continue in our next topic later. Thank you.